good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. It is Friday. It is Sushi Friday. I don't know why it's Sushi Friday. You know how they got like Taco Tuesday and everything like that. Today is Sushi Friday because I want sushi. So go ahead and load up the comment section with what's your favorite like sushi roll or spread or combination or whatever it is. What is it? Put it in there, man. I'm more of a tuna roll type of person. Tuna roll, tuna nigiri, stuff like that, man. I keep it basic. I don't have to go all wild with all that crazy stuff on there. Nah, it's not for me. It's not for me. Nah, just give me a simple tuna roll or tuna nigiri, something like that. California roll, that used to be my go-to in the beginning. You know what I mean? And they didn't even consider that sushi. But on the tuna, give me the tuna roll. I'm cool with that. But I know that has nothing to do with nothing, but I'm telling y'all how I'm feeling on this Friday. That's what it's gonna be. Listen, today's case though is the missing case of Dylan Redwine. And it's coming from that chapter. So prepare yourself. All right, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, man, and join the fam, all right? And once you do that, just join us real quick. Moment of silence for the haters. That's enough. Now run the likes up, baby. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Let's go.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this whole video, what we're talking about is red wine. Probably should have called it brown wine. To Colorado we go, classic, to look at a story, a mystery really, that went on for years. You know, we all have like some pretty embarrassing photographs, ones we'd rather, you know, not be like tagged in, or whatever, you know what I mean. This is that times 10. So you see, when somebody saw pictures of Mark that he really didn't want anybody else to see, you know, when they had a goo at, well, it rhymes with goo. This is probably the one video where let's give it a goo is a poor choice of words. But let's. So it is to Colorado we go. That place has been on the radar quite a lot lately. Citizens must be getting a little bit jelly of the big dogs. We are going to a little place called Durango. Durango is located at the southern end of Colorado, a city made up of about 16,000 people. It's kind of located in the southern foothills of the Rockies. You keep going up, you're in ski country. You go down, you're in Navajo Nation. In Durango, there lived a lot of families. And now, I will go through them alphabetically. Or let's just skip to the or. Red wine. I love it, but you know it's a family name too. Made up of Mark, Elaine, Corey, and Dylan. Mark and Elaine had been married since 1989. Happily, yeah, sure, why not? Living in Durango. Over the course of their 18-year marriage, Mark and Elaine would have two boys together. Corey, born in 1992, and the younger Dylan, born in February 1999.
Listen there. See, the story always starts out, you know what I mean? Beautiful family, long marriage, 18 years, bro. 18 years ain't nothing to sneeze at. We don't hear that often so much. So when I hear long marriages, man, I want to praise that, bro. You know what I mean? That needs to become the norm again. Remember your grandparents, 50 years, 60-year marriages, bro? What happened to that? Now people can't make it 30 days, a year and a half, and it's over. The wedding was longer than the marriage. It's crazy.
The family were happy out living in southern Colorado. Durango looks like a beautiful city, and so Daddy Mark, who had been married once before and had a son from that marriage, well, when he wasn't working away at his job as a foreman with United Pipeline, he was spending it with his beloved wife and two sons. And he would spend it until the year 2007 rolled around. Elaine, she regained her maiden name of Hatfield and divorced Mark, and that divorce, swimmingly it did not go, let me tell you that much. It was acrimonious as shit. Mark, he wanted it to be as ugly as possible. You know, he did not want it, if he was going to be unhappy, you sure as shit would be too. It ended with Elaine getting full custody of her two sons. From there, Elaine, Corey, and Dylan moved about 300 miles away to Colorado Springs. The divorce. Well, any relationship Mark had with Elaine was now in the toilet. It's now in the crapper. Also in the crapper was the thing he loved most. His relationship with his kids, of course. Corey and Dylan, their relationship with their dad became strained too, and although Mark had visitation rights, he didn't really give two shits about them. Although they still had friends back in their hometown, they didn't spend—
I'll never understand that, bro. You can't make me understand that. And I'm a parent, bro. Whatever happens between you and your ex has nothing to do with the children, bro. They should never feel that. You know what I mean? Now, it's unfortunate. Things happen. It happens, right? And they may get to see some stuff that they shouldn't otherwise. But okay, cool. But your love for them should never be affected by what you go through with your ex, bro. Ever. That's just grown man talk. Tired of it.
And a huge amount of time back there. Less and less. And when, in 2010, they saw a side of Mark they had rarely seen before, a pretty angry and violent one after witnessing a fight with their parents, well, going back to Durango was not really very high on their to-do lists, you know what I mean? This would lead to more legal shite, and Dylan, still a minor, would be spending court-ordered visits with his dad. One of these was due for Thanksgiving 2012. Now, Dylan didn't want to go. His older brother Corey, was 20 years old at this point, so he got off scot-free. Just be Dylan going by himself, with his dad, dad, bit of a dick. The relationship was shite, his dad was a turd. And, it wasn't exactly like, here, we'll play football, go fishing, talk about chicks, whatever. It wasn't like that at all. Dylan was kind of scared of him, did not want to be alone with him, and when he wanted to see if he could crash with his friends instead of staying with his dad poo-pooed that idea. It was on the 18th of November that 13-year-old Dylan Redwine hopped on a plane and flew from Colorado Springs to Durango La Plata Airport. Mark picked up Dylan at the airport and off they went, with Dylan being caught on CCTV at a local Walmart. And then he vanished. It was late in the afternoon of the 19th of November 2012, about 5:30, that Elaine, 300 miles away, filed a police report, a missing persons report. Dylan had disappeared. The police, they were immediately out in force, and the story at the time went a little something like this. That morning, the 19th, at about 7:30 a.m, Mark, he had to pop out, do a few bits and bobs, down to shops, whatever. When he left, Dylan was sleeping on the couch. He came back a couple of hours later. Dylan was gone. He assumed he had popped out for a walk, maybe gone to see his mates, whatever. He eventually started ringing around, and nobody had seen hide nor hair of him. He started texting Elaine, and she was, immediately unhappy, who then called the cops.
Let's go back and read the messages. And sometimes the clues be in the messages.
Ringing around, and nobody.
Hey, Boudreaux, you up yet? Done at the office, headed your way in a bit. Call me, okay? Hey, call me, please. 8:42, 10:15, right? Dylan, I am home. You're nowhere to be found. Come back so I can get you to Bayfield. At least call me, okay? 11:23.
Had seen hide nor hair of him.
Dylan, you need to call me. Where are you?
He started texting.
Elaine, I'm wondering if you have heard from Dylan. I've been trying to reach him all afternoon. It's really worrying when I'm 7 hours away and get a message like this from you. I haven't heard from Dylan today. Where did you leave him at last see him? I went to town for errands and he was fine. I'm just concerned and thought you may have heard from him. Now, they've painted him as this, raging type of person, right? But yet his tone in these texts are calm and cool. That's what seems strange to me. like you're just throwing these texts out there as cover-ups. You know what I'm saying? To try to give yourself an alibi.
Texting Elaine, and she was, well, immediately unhappy, who then called the cops.
I would have expected if it would, to me, I'm just guessing so far, that the messages would have been a little bit more stern, maybe a little bit more pissed off in the message. He maybe would have cursed them. Where are you at? Get your butt back to this house. You ain't grown. Stuff like that if it matches his character.
Cops. The investigation then began. Now, Mark's first thought was that he's ran off. You know, he'll be back when he's hungry in like a couple of hours. He'll come back bawling, and it'll be fine. Elaine didn't think it would be that. He wouldn't run away, and if he did, he would call her, you know, straight away. There was something else going on here.
Tonight, the disappearance of a Colorado 13-year-old remains a mystery. The search for Dylan Redwine began more than a week ago. Earlier this week, divers from New Mexico helped look for the teen.
It's a needle in a haystack search. You know, we're going off of tips, we're going off of real general information, and it's the what if.
Hundreds of volunteers came out in force to find the boy. Police, helicopters, flyers, dogs, the works. The mountains were checked, the woods, the area around Mark's home. But nothing. Everyone was helping the search.
I think somebody knows where he is. I don't know if somebody's hiding him or if somebody's already done something horrible to him.
The mother of a missing Colorado teenage boy now fears foul play in the disappearance of her 13-year-old son.
Everyone except good old Mark, that is. According to Elaine and Corey, they said he was just, you know, chilling out on the couch, having a beer, watching a footy, having a grand old time.
Well, it's been a tough time for all of us. I know. I know that it's been difficult on me, and I can only imagine how difficult it's been for his mom and his brother and his family over in the Colorado Springs area. And, you know, we're doing everything we can to try to find Dylan, and we want to keep the focus on finding Dylan. And, you know, I've been...
Oh, my gosh, that seems phony. That's phony to me. It just... It don't seem genuine. That seems genuine to y'all? And his family over there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit it at the end. But that don't seem genuine to me.
Working with the investigators to make sure that, you know, all the bases are being covered on that end. And, you know, that's pretty much where I'm at with that. I mean, I'm doing everything I know how to do.
Didn't give an F. You know, when he's a distraught father. Maybe. A couple of weeks in, the police announced it was now a criminal investigation. About 2 weeks after the disappearance, a runaway was ruled out due to surrounding circumstances. Lack of cell phone activity, his friends texting him to no response. Police interviewed those who knew him and the length of time that had gone by. No, this was criminal. A task force was set up, made up of 5 different agencies. And it began to turn from a where to a who. Mark's house was searched, his truck, and he did cooperate with the police, but more and more people were giving him the old, you know, shifty eye. He noticed, he said it was unfair. Come on, like, me? Come on, look at him.
There's a lot of suspicion out there. Can you address that?
Well, I can only imagine being a mother, the frustration of hearing about your son going missing. And, you know, I can only think that has to do with lashing out and trying to find who's accountable for this in this situation. Dylan, my prayers are with you, and I love you very much. He was the light of my...
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. He drummed up those tears just then, didn't he? That's the most forced I've ever... Oh, my gosh, that's fake. Bro, that would have been at the beginning of the interview, fam. You just drummed those up when she asked you this question, like, okay, maybe I need to show a little bit of emotion, man.
My life, and he meant everything to me. And I just want him home, just like...
Couldn't even get a tear to drop.
Everybody else does.
He's clearly a runaway. Right, guys? Weeks started to go by, turning to months. And Elaine told something to the police which may or may not be of some help, and it was about Dylan. See, Dylan, he had seen something maybe he shouldn't have. Put it that way.
A spokesperson for the La Plata County Sheriff's Office tells Action 7 News a bloodhound from Albuquerque came up to the Vallecito Reservoir the other day and went out with the task force. Officials say bloodhounds can pick up a scent up to 6 weeks after an event. We're told the search covered the same ground as before, but the hound did not discover any trace of Dylan. I spoke with Dylan's mother, Elaine, last week.
You have to speculate, where he is and if he's okay and is he eating? Is he going to be home for Christmas so that we can, celebrate together?
In 2011, a year before Dylan disappeared, Mark, Dylan and Corey went on a road trip together, some bonding time for the lads. When they were at a motel, Dylan found something on his dad's laptop. Realizing this was weird, he woke up his older brother Corey and they took the laptop into the bathroom, locked the door while their father was asleep, and they had a goo. They, had a goo at poo. They discovered pictures of their dad wearing women's underwear, diapers, and eating shit from a nappy. Not sure how much I can show you. Not sure how much you want to see.
No.
He was wolfing it down. Literal shit. He eat that poo-poo.
And then they eat the poo-poo like ice cream.
Flashes of Russell Williams all over again. And so this apparently ruined Dylan's image of his dad. I can imagine it'd be hard to take him seriously.
Wait, what in the 2 girls, 1 cup?
After that, and well, a year later, a couple of months before he went missing, Corey let his dad know that they both had seen the pictures, and he had taken pictures on his cell phone back at the time. Kind of, well, really anything Mark would do to the boys, give out to them, whatever, they kind of had a counterattack ready, try and discipline me now, bitch. The searches for young Dylan continued as winter turned to spring, to summer.
Will you take a polygraph?
I will take a polygraph.
Mark Redwine told Dr. Phil he would take the test to prove he had nothing to do with the disappearance of his son Dylan. It came after some bold accusations from his ex-wife and older son.
What do you think's going on here?
I think Mark has something to do with it. I think he's either got him heading out or, done something and disposed. I strongly think that he's involved.
Why?
He hasn't done a single thing since.
Talk about slap to your face to hear that from your own child. Like, say that to your face on national television. If that ain't a smack, I don't know what is.
Dylan has been gone. I do believe that Mark took Dylan to punish my mom and essentially hurt her.
I'm not involved in this. No matter how it comes across, whether it be to you or anybody else, I'm not involved in this. And I have a hard time dealing with this, and I struggle with this every day. And for months now, I got Corey and Elaine pointing their finger at me.
But when it came time for the test, Mark asked for a day delay. Then, the next morning, just when the test was getting started, Mark said he didn't feel well, an automatic disqualifier. Dr. Phil pleaded with him again hours later.
You should be doing backflips right now to take this polygraph test. You were the last person to have seen your son before he disappeared.
Do you know where he is?
No, I don't.
Boy, I just struggle with this whole thing.
In the end, Mark Redwine decided not to do it.
On the 27th of June 2013, 7 months after he was last seen, Dylan was finally found, or part of him, at least. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation confirmed that bones that had been found during a search in late June belonged to Dylan Redwine. They were found about 10 miles from Mark's home in a wooded area. When Mark's son from his first marriage called Mark, to let him know that Dylan had been found, apparently Mark was like, oh, he's been found, has he? Yeah. He's terrible, isn't it terrible? Oh, well, sure. Shit happens. Right here, let you go. Right, So what happened to young Dylan? Well, at the time it couldn't really be determined. There was just bones left and there was no real signs of trauma. But they didn't find the head. So Mark's idea was, well, animal attack. Bears, cougars, mountain lions, whatever. They're all out there. What's they gotten him? He left the house, he went for a walk, he got ate. Or, a hunter might have accidentally shot him on the side of the mountain and he panicked and dumped his body. Of course, the mountain was closed in Thanksgiving 2012. So there wouldn't be any hunters there, but you never know what could happen. That was Mark's line and he was sticking to it like a fly on shite. Well, a mark on shite. The bones were found at what was described as a typical dump site. Basically, a site that's close to a road or access point, within 50 yards anyway, and it's downhill. It was ruled to be a homicide at this time. Dylan's skull wasn't found until 2 years later, roughly 5 miles from where his bones had been located. It was from there that the authorities could try and find a cause of death, and it looked like Dylan had suffered a sharp force injury and a skull fracture above his left eye at or around the time of his death. Throughout this, there was mounting pressure of, licking his shitty chops Mark. He failed his first polygraph, refused to take a second. His first wife, named Betsy, would speak to the police, saying Mark had told her, quote, if he ever had to get rid of a body, he would leave it in the mountains.
Anywhere I was, he was right there beside me. He would come to me before he would go to his mom. And I would do anything for that boy.
Those good old pictures of Mark, they became kind of public knowledge. And Mark's response to this, lads, they're photoshopped. Right? Fake news! Here, come on, go on. Do I look like a guy who would eat shit? There's some jokester out there playing a prank, making it look like I enjoy doing.
I hope y'all wasn't eating during this. Oh my gosh. It was some sick family members of yours in this world, bro. No, I'm just playing, but there's some sick people in this world. Bro. Hey, you dressing up, but you're eating poop. What type of diet is that? I don't want to know. It's y'all gotta control your family members, man.
You do. I don't do. And remember how Mark's house was searched at the beginning of the investigation, and it was, he was pretty compliant? Probably shouldn't have been. Well, they found stuff during that search. Stuff like blood. It was found in multiple locations in Mark's living room, the couch, the floor, the coffee table, the rug. Now, Mark's girlfriend at the time tried to give a cover for him, saying Dylan had cut his finger a year previous, in 2011. Must have chopped the fucking thing off for there to be that much blood. The cadaver dogs picked up scents on Mark's clothing and throughout the home. Also, Mark was seen driving an ATV down the same road Dylan's remains would be found off of days before the area was due to be searched. And during this time, Elaine, Dylan's mother, she filed a wrongful death suit against Mark, but it would have to be dismissed, essentially due to a filing error. And so time went by. And it would eventually be 5 years after Dylan disappeared in August 2017 that the bug-eyed motherfucker would be arrested.
Just keep your hands up, buddy. Just keep your hands up. Volleyball, watch the cap. I got the cap. Around me. Go around back. Yep. Just keep your hands up.
Don't move, bud, okay? Do not move. Drop a cigarette.
You guys can? You'll explain to me what's going on?
Yes, sir. Is your name Mark?
Yes, it is. Are you Mark?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm the sergeant. Did you say you asked to speak with me?
Well, I was asking a few questions. First of all, I'm trying to understand what exactly is going on.
Okay.
Done anything for me, am I right, sir?
Okay. The reason why you're in handcuffs right now is because we received a call from an agency in Colorado. What had happened is they had got information that you were potentially up here, and they said that they had a warrant for murder second for you. I'm sorry?
I have no idea what that's about.
Okay.
He was arrested in Bellingham, Washington, where he had been working as a truck driver. He was charged with second-degree murder and child abuse resulting in death.
There was never any doubt in my mind, ever. From day one, I knew that Mark had something to do with Dylan's disappearance and then, unfortunately, his murder. Yes. I've said that from day one.
And see, this is the problem that people have when they have divorce situations and the kid doesn't want to go with the other parent and the other parent has this violent streak and the courts is ordering you to do so. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough situation to be in. Because now I'd be going back to the same courts that ordered me to send my child out there to be with him. It's a tough situation, bro. And she's going to beat herself up for the rest of her life. Why? Because the kid didn't want to go. He didn't want to go.
All right, we're on the record on Mr. Redwine's case.
Look at old poop eater.
17 CR 343. And we are here for his initial advisement. Mark Redwine unlawfully, feloniously, knowingly, or recklessly caused injury to or permitted to be unreasonably placed in a situation that posed a threat of injury to the life or health of a child, namely Dylan Redwine, that resulted in the death of the child in violation of Section 18-6-401, 1A and 7AI of the Colorado Revised Statutes.
The trial would begin in 2021, Mark pleading not guilty. The prosecution argued that the murder of Dylan Redwine was due to the photographs he had seen, the ones of Mark eating poo and dressing in diapers and women's clothing. He maybe brought it up and Mark lost it. It was likely blunt force trauma that killed him, and then Mark decapitated him. The defense went with animal attack. You know, okay, Mark, maybe he likes to gobble down, you know, shit. But yeah, who doesn't in the privacy of his own home? You know, nothing to be embarrassed about having doo-doo feces around your face. That's not—
Yo, these defense arguments, bro, are comical. Who doesn't? Me? I don't. Ain't nothing I do in my spare time.
Shame him. You know, nothing wrong with that. Why would he get embarrassed about that? So a bear attack, or animal attack is what they went with. During the trial, the prosecution actually got a bear expert to explain to the jury hibernation patterns and bear attacks and all. Long story short, by late November, most bears would be, well, sawn wood, and there would be no human trash would have attracted them regardless, so it was highly unlikely a bear, or really any other animal, would have been responsible.
Jury verdict count number 1, murder in the second degree. We, the jury, find the defendant, Mark Redwine, guilty of count number 1. Be quiet, please. Murder in the second degree, signed by Mr. Parker. Jury verdict, count number 2, child abuse. We, the jury, find the defendant, Mark Redwine, guilty of count 2, child abuse.
At the end of the 3-week trial, and after a day of deliberation, Mark Redwine would be found guilty of murdering his son. He will be sentenced in October 2021. He's expected to receive, well, a good few decades, which will amount to life for 59-year-old Mark Redwine. And so ends the enduring case of Mark and Dylan Redwine, one which lasted for years. And so Mark ended up just being a giant piece of shit, and when his son Dylan saw him chowing down on it, wolfing it down, he had to go. I still have like unanswered questions though, you know, if I may. Whose poo was it? Was it Mark? Was it his own poo? Was it somebody else's poo? Does it make it worse if it's somebody else's poo or his own poo? Was he the one wearing the diaper? Was he doing it solo? So many questions. Not sure if I want the answers. Oh well, old shit breath, he can gobble down as much as he wants now in his cell. Might be the first person I've talked about who I will happily call a shithead. And I mean that in literally every way possible.
Yeah. Ugh. Listen, man, everybody got their little kinks and things that they do or whatever you do behind closed doors, bro. No judgment. You know what I mean? That kid never deserved to die, man. Rest in peace, Dylan. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, bro. This here makes you evaluate a lot of situations, man. Divorce, you know, custody battles. And when you hear people going through these custody battles and these kids not wanting to be with certain parents, bro, listen to them, man. Fight as hard as you can. Fight for your child, or they can end up in a situation like this, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section, bro. Kid didn't deserve that, especially not from his poop-eating daddy. I'm out, man. Till the next reaction, man. Y'all stay solid. Hey.